prefer that book and I would go to the British Council Library. He would tell me go to British Council. If I went to the British Council Library, they would say, no, the book has been taken away by the Consulate Office in Calcutta, so wait for 2 months. It's no longer like that. It's only up to us how much futuristic or future ready are we. The change of mindset. Because the problem is that we are not changing. So that's why I spend a lot of time among youngsters, young children. The other day I met a girl who was class 12. She has got an admission into IIT. And she came from a very low middle class family, hardly could afford themselves, and came from a militancy affected region. So I told her, I said, you are adults. You have no coaching, no family support. And you know what she does? She picks up this. She says, sir, 8 months, 14 hours, IIT crack. So if you work hard for 14 months, 8 hours, 14 months, 14 hours a day, you can do this. So I think now it's based, that's why that other podcast somebody asked me, any wish and any regret. I said, no regret, because God won't be angry, He's already given more than we deserve. A wish, of course, we were born in this age. And therefore we could channelize these youngsters. And this again, I am saying so, while studying the platform at Batra, we are not depending on government. And I told my colleague also, I said, don't always keep asking government. Government doesn't have enough to offer. And it takes a lot of time also. We have done the trial in Christian Medical College below. So Batra could also get involved in such sort of activity.
ESCOM, sir. Batra
oh, sorry. But I think that's a review to the earlier trustee. It is like saying cannot place and then correcting somebody, telling him it is Rajiv Gandhi job. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I have to be officially correct also, especially when I am the chief guest. The point here is that having done this teaching business all my life, though the chief guest is expected to lightly snap and say good things and then quit, the habit of faculty talking is yet to be got over. But I say this is passion because we have opportunity. Only day before yesterday we have launched a successful sickle cell disease indigenous therapy, which is the CRISPR therapy nowadays, which is becoming very fast because all these things very closely related to Dr. Veda's work. That's called clustered regular interest-based short palindromic repeats. So we have succeeded in manipulating the RNA to go and cut the DNA virtually. The same is very fascinating. So the media person asked me, how do you do it? Sorry?
Splicing.
Yes. It's just like disabling the gene and then, of course, the trait is over, the tendency for the disease is over, then you can repair it and also structure it. So the media person asked me, what is it all about? I said, it's not simple, actually it will be like redoing the nose, as some of the celebrities do. We chop off the nose, that is your choice. Whether you want to have a shorter nose or a different shape. So we are already into this. And therefore, I think this is a time when we could actually make a breakthrough. And Batra, with this less of regulation, I'm also often invited to be corresponding hospital. So ESCOM with all its advantages and not bound by the regulations which will be there in the government setup. And therefore, I think the synergized strategy would work. In fact, we could evolve ourselves to a level that people prefer us rather than going to the government setup because for the ease of doing trials. And therefore, whatever is possible from our side, we have also launched the National Research Foundation, the Anusandhan, where you could also be a party to that. The Research and Innovation Fund of rupees 1 lakh crore, because that is to give an initial boost to the private sector. So you have collaborators. And you could actually also access and try to find out what is good for you in the BIRAC. We are trying to create a structured interface for collaboration. So Because otherwise you collaborate randomly. I come to know that you are doing so I get associated with you. So we have a structured interface which we also did in space. And that was called in space. This is called Biotechnology Industry Research Application Council. So they do all the exercise for you to determine the nature of disease, the nature of research, the theme of research, the scale of research, the entity of the collaborators, and they also provide you. And I think the India also has an advantage that we can now undertake a work on any disease. The other day there was a group of boys from Europe, somebody referred to me, they wanted some support and said, sir, what disease we think we should take up? I said, you name the disease, I have one. Go. Because it's a huge lab, so that's another advantage. Depending on your aptitude, your resources, you could also do. And of course, the means of communication are also there now. You don't depend on the mainstream media, you have the social media outlets, other things. In fact, now our medical research is also being covered by the mainstream media more than before, particularly after our achievements in the space. So I was telling the media person the other day, the space has given us space in media. And now the other things also. Like sickle cell disease, which we all just put 3 days back, has received a huge coverage even internationally. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a more receptive time. One of the better times happening for medical research in India is no longer the time of in the 70s. I think VIP had a heart attack event to Houston for a bypass because they thought, and Houston became famous here. It's no longer so. The only problem with us is how do we channelize ourselves ethically, as Dr. Begi said, and also fruitfully in a manner that we create a success story for the others. And to add to what Dr. Begi was saying, only last year I received a recommendation to put in a word to a very famous cardiologist, which all of us know. His सिफारिश was कि इसका operation ना करना. So in the middle of night, the patient calls me. तो wrote to me and said that मुझे साथ वाले पेशेंट ने कहा कि डॉक्टर साहब राउंड के बाद ना सीधा ही लिख देते हैं बाईपास के लिए. तो उनको ये सिफारिश करना कि मेरा ऐसा ना करे. तो मैंने कहा सिफारिश तो ये होती है कि ऑपरेशन ठीक हो. आप सिफारिश करवाने का ऑपरेशन ना हो. And I called him the senior, of course, Dr. Saab was very kind. He said, no, nothing to it. I'll call you up after the operation. He did call up and said, I'm not doing the operation. So if that kind of situation arises, the trust deficit is there, and that also justifies all the good things that Dr. Begi has tried to impart to us. So thank you very much, and thanks for being here, and congratulations, as so far.